What's going on, y'all? I know it's been a long time since y'all seen me do a long video. I got a hoodie on, got my scarf on. It's raining out here. I'm in this Midwest weather. But a lot of y'all's like, hey, are you still doing transportation? Hey, you still doing expediting? People been hitting me up left and right. So I'm still doing somewhat transportation. It's just not expediting. It's actually local deliveries with some of these delivery apps. When I was on the road, you know, I hit up a friend and she put me onto some apps. And I was like, oh, let me try it out. Let me see how it is. And it was okay. You know, I'm making 200 plus a day. I'm in different cities, so it's all right. You can change the zip code and stuff. So I'm like, okay. So then I started seeing when I was on the road as well, I was only making what, 1,500, 1,000 a week. It started going real bad. So I said, you know, let me take off a little bit. Let me try these delivery apps from where I live. So I end up trying out an app called Spark. And I had to try to understand it. You know, one thing I already knew is the miles. You know, when I was in expediting, I'm getting $2 plus a mile. Sometimes $3, $4 a mile. So when I tried the app out, I wanted it to be somewhat similar. Like, hey, this is what I need, you know? So I actually just see something that's right now that's 15 miles. It's 7 items, $34. Not going 15 miles. Some people out here, there's a lot of people that be out here that do this app. They have jobs for like Walmart, Sam's Club, sometimes Home Depot, AutoZone, depending on what state you're in. So that would be a good job, right? 14 miles, 7 items, $34. That's not a good job for me. First of all, everybody need to understand that you're putting wear and tear on your car. So no. I'll do $2 a mile if I'm doing like, I would say under 3 miles, because you gotta remember, when doing these apps, you still gotta get back to your destination. So like earlier, I took 2.3 miles. 2.3 miles, I still gotta come back 2.3 miles. So that's what, 4, if you round it up, that's 5 miles. But that job was $22, you know, so it wasn't bad. It was about, what, 2-3 items. And I also did another job this morning that was literally 1 mile, and it paid $18, but it was 3 items. So I really be thinking about it before I do it, and it's all about knowing your numbers. Now, I'm not like a lot of people who do this job. See, here you go, 15 miles. I'm sorry, $15, 1 mile, 34 items. It's a pickup. It's an apartment too. Not doing that. You know, some of this stuff I just don't do just because I came from expediting. And like I said, the numbers have to be right for me. And then the stuff have to be right for me, you know. So it just has to be right. The numbers have to make sense. The money got to make sense. So, you know, I'm jumping on here to let y'all know, yes, I do Spark. I do roadie. Sometimes they do have some good roadie jobs. Spendex is pretty good if you got like a SUV, minivan, or if you have a van. Spendex is really good because you get a lot of Home Depot, a lot of Lowe's. That's how you say Lowe's. So you want to download as many apps as you can, and I say see what works for you, because everything don't work for everybody, you know, and everybody have different situations. Like, I don't have kids, so I can pretty much be out as long as I want, as long as the money is going to make sense. You know, some people, they can only be out for 2 hours, 3 hours. Sometimes they can be out, you know, from the time they drop their kids off to the time they got to pick their kids up. You know, sometimes some people already have a job, and then this will be their second little side hustle. So I say do what works for you, you know, and mainly know your budget, you know, and know how much you want to make that day. You know, me, I want to make 2,500, you know, every 2 weeks plus. Or I said, you know what? I don't want to work every day. Even if I work 5 days, then 2 of the days I gotta make $300 plus, which Sunday, Monday, you're gonna make $300 plus Sunday, Monday, because that's like the busiest days. Your other days you're gonna make like 200 plus, but it's still going on you how many hours you want to be out. So that's your answer. A lot of people been asking, hey, you're not expediting no more? No, I'm in my regular vehicle, and to expedite and get back to where it needs to be. And I've been speaking to some people. A lot of people say a lot of different stuff. Speaking to dispatchers, kind of like a up and down thing, which not too bad. So, but so far, Spark is cool. Roadie is cool. You just gotta know what you picking up, what you want to do, and just have a plan. A lot of people don't have plans, but have a plan, and then just have your daily goals. You're gonna want, what? I just need to make $100 a day. I just need to make $150. But always incorporate your gas. So if I make $225 for the day, my gas is gonna come out $25, so I make $200 for the day. But if I want to make my $225, I gotta make $250. So always incorporate, your gas. Every 2 weeks, incorporate, or every 3 weeks, but I say every 2 weeks, incorporate your oil. Your oil change is very important. So I say just, have a budget. I like telling people have a budget, because most of the time we don't have budgets. We just go out there and just make money. And then before you know it, we don't know where none of it went. So write down and definitely have a budget. Doing these apps, you need to have a budget. Know your days when it's up, know your days when it's down. That's like very, very important. Just like me, I know Fridays and Saturdays, some people may think Fridays and Saturdays supposed to be busy. Fridays and Saturdays is like my lowest day. So that's why I'm out selling food. And I also got a food business. In life, if you're not gonna work a job, you definitely need different hustles. Always gotta have different hustles. I still sell my clothes. You make today better than yesterday. You just gotta have different hustles. But I will be showing y'all and talking to y'all throughout the days and letting y'all know what's going on. Still, hit me up. I can answer whatever questions y'all need help in. And I'm just out here waiting. It's a lot of us that wait for these jobs. Sometimes some people can't wait. Some people, they'll take whatever they can get. Try not to do that. Like, you gotta remember, this is your vehicle. Your vehicle. You're putting miles on your vehicle. So you gotta really think about that. My goal the whole day is no more than 60 miles on my vehicle. If you add that up for like 5 days that I do work or 7 days that I work, you know what I'm saying? That's a lot. So you gotta remember you maintaining this car. So please remember that, y'all. Anyway, if y'all already know, let's make today better than yesterday. Oh, let's be grateful, thankful, and positive, y'all. Let's be happy for another day. Let's make today better than yesterday. Later.